Alright, today I'm gonna give you guys a story of how I got one of the coolest highlights of my career, you know. I think some most of you have seen it. It got pretty big when it happened, but it's been a long time, you know, it was my pro debut. But it's when I hit the what they call the Harlem Shake KO, you know. So this is my pro debut. Actually, you know, you can't have a better pro debut than that. That's the best way to come out, man. You know, that's a good way to be introduced to people. Like my introduction to the UFC fans was my contender fight. So I have a good way of showing out when the time comes. All right. So making my pro debut, I had, I think, nine or 11 amateur fights. I don't really remember because a lot of them, some of them wasn't like sanctioned, so they don't show up on your record. But I've had all my amateur fights. You know, it took me a long time to convince my coach to actually make me go pro. You know, but he finally decided, like, all right, man, you're gonna be making your pro debut. And throughout most of my amateur career, I wrestled a lot. You know, I used to try to take people down. You know, I still had power in my hands, so I got some like striking finishes. But I did always try to take people down. But I've always been working on my boxing, and the area where I'm from in PG County, there's so much boxing talent here. So there's a lot of boxing coaches that help out, and a lot of like professionals and amateur boxers to help you in your career. So I was really big like boxing a lot at that time, and my boxing was getting really good too. You know, so that was my coach, my boxing coach used to take me around to go spar like with different people. So one of these days, he said, all right, man, we're going to a different gym to go spar with some other boxers. It was like me, his two sons, DJ Jackson. We went. Actually, I'm not sure if DJ was there, but yeah. So I just know it was me and his sons. We went to the other boxing gym. So we get in there, everybody's sitting around, and at that time, Javante Tank he wasn't as big at that time. I think I'm not. He might have already been with Mayweather, but I know he wasn't like super popular as he is now. He's not like the huge star he was with now. So it was like, all right, you're gonna spar with Tank. So I put myself on. It was like, oh no, he just finished sparring. He's not sparring. So all right, you can spar with this guy instead. I turned my head. I wanted to give you guys a reference of where I'm coming from. You know, amateur MMA guy. You know, just getting ready to make his MMA debut. Like, all right, who am I sparring today? Turn my head. And it's Adrian Broner. multiple time world champion Adrian Broner. I was like, oh my god. You know, that was my first time fighting like a big I mean sparring a big like boxing guy before, you know. So I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit starstruck. But it was like, alright, yeah, don't worry about it. It's gonna be you and like three other people are gonna like alternate on him in like every like 3 minutes or something like that. So I was like, all right, nice. So I get in there. I'm the first guy. I get in there. I start moving around, and he tells his coach, "Man, I like this guy. Keep him in for a little bit longer." So I think instead of doing like the first three, I did like the first 9 or something like that. We were supposed to keep switching until he did like a certain number. So I did the first 9 minutes. So here's the thing. A little bit starstruck. My first time really sparring somebody like of that notoriety, you know. I'm still not I'm not the man that I am right now, all right? So my performance was horrible. And it's not, don't get me wrong, my coach doesn't care like if I go out there and I'm getting pieced up by the multiple time world champion. It's like he wants me to still fight to the person that I am, you know. There's no shame in losing if you're gonna actually show out, but I was not sparring like who I was before. Like, you know, I was super disappointed in myself. I could tell that my coach was disappointed too. So, you know, when I got home, I was like, I can't believe I went out like that, man. You know, just getting beat up the whole time, and you didn't even perform to your standards. Like, there's nothing wrong with getting your ass whooped if you're at least gonna perform to your standards. So I was like, you know what? Next time I go in there, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna get knocked out, man. he's gonna have to knock me out because I'm gonna go in there and give it all I got. All right. So this was the first time I sparred him was a Friday, and then the next one was gonna be Monday, and then Wednesday, and then Friday again. So we went back to the gym again on Monday, And it was like, oh yeah, that's that strong guy. That's that strong guy on my spot. Let me spar with him again. I'm full decked out in MMA gear, got my Venom gloves on and all that stuff. So I was like, all right, today's the day. I don't give a fuck what happens. I'm not going out like a bitch again. I'm gonna fight to my potential. So we had the same thing. I did the first 9 minutes. Don't get me wrong. He still put it on me. You gotta be realistic with yourself. He is who he is. He still put it on me. But I did a whole lot better than I did the first time. It was a respectable ass whooping, if that makes any sense. So after that day was over, I get home, and in my mind, I'm like, I knew I could have done better, man. You know what? Next time, I'm gonna style on this nigga, man. So that was the attitude I had going into the Wednesday sparring. All right. So I was like, man, I'm about to try to style on this dude this time. Wednesday starts. I'm doing as good as I did on Monday. Still getting beat up, but respectable. And then it went through my mind like, man, style on this nigga, man. Next thing you know, it felt like I blinked, and when I opened my eyes, my hands was on the mat. Apparently, he put me out. But you know what? What can I say? At that time, it did hurt me at that time, but my ego was still in check enough to know like there's levels to it. And he wasn't as bad as he might come off on like TV and stuff like that. He was never really an asshole in person, and he was cool the entire time that we sparred. So he put me out. Get back to the gym. My boxing coach telling my regular teammates and telling everybody what happened, blah, blah. And he was like, you know what? We're going to go back. That was the Wednesday one. We're going to go back and still spar on Friday to help him finish his camp. I think he was getting ready for Ashley Ethiopian or something like that. I think he was getting ready for that guy. So he was like, yeah, we're going to go out there and help him finish up for his camp. Which, as an older guy now, I highly, highly, highly do not advise that at all. Please, young fighters out there, if you get hurt at practice, take some time to recover, all right? But he did tell me later on that he wanted me to do that because he didn't wanted to really crush my ego, because I was getting ready for my pro debut, as I was saying. Even though we was going there to give him rounds for his, it was a big help for me, because you don't get opportunities like that, especially as an amateur fighter turning pro, to work with somebody of that caliber. No matter what's going on, there's always something you can pick away from it. So I really, really appreciated it. And we went on Friday, and turns out he said he was done with sparring, and they were just gonna just work out and cut weight until the fight. So I really didn't even have to spar on that Friday, luckily for me. And if I had, it would have been really, really stupid, because my head was already ringing. So now, fast forward, it's my turn. This is my pro debut. I'm fighting Alvin Mercer. He was pretty good amateur guy too around our area, and I think he had already won his pro debut. He might have been 1-1 or like 1-0. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna go fight him, and like I said before, through my amateur, a lot of times what I was doing is like wrestling, like cage wrestling and stuff like that. So first round starts. That's what I'm doing. Same thing I've been doing since the amateur. That's what made me an undefeated amateur. Cage wrestling. Whenever I get in sight, use my hands. All right. So after the first round's over, I get to my corner, and my coach's like, "Man, come on, dog. You've been sparring with all these legit guys. You've been all the boxers from around here that help you, all the boxing coaches that help you. You sparring Adrian Broner, man. You don't go out there and put this dude out. You know what?" So I was like, "I'm about to style on this nigga, man." Now, lucky for me, Adrian Broner and Alvin Mercer was not on the same caliber, all right? All respect due to Alvin, man. He seemed like a good guy. But lucky for me, it wasn't the same. So this time when I did decide to style on somebody, it worked out in my favor, So I pressed him down. I saw him throw his jab. I slipped to the inside of his punch. It's a little bit risky, but I was able to duck both the jab. I think I ducked across too. And when I slipped and I hit him with the hook, it felt so clean, because a lot those of you that don't fight, you might not know, but sometimes when you hit a punch sometimes and you feel zero resistance and you just feel like their head move out the way, like their head hits and move out the way, you know it's good, you know. So it felt like it happened in slow motion when I hit the hook. There was no resistance there, and I was like, oh yeah, he's done. So my original plan was to hit the hook and walk off because it got a style on him, man. I'm gonna style on him. But I hit the hook, and as I was walking off, I see him coming back to life and like over there in the corner. So I like hit a little like shimmy move to turn around to try to finish him. So it wasn't that I was really trying to dance. The dance just kind of happened because I was like, oh shit, let me get this finished, you know. So I hit the dance move and finished him off, and then the referee stepped in and actually broke us up. And I was like, nice. I didn't know how cool it looked until I looked at the big screen, and I was like, oh snap. And it was like, man, you knocked him out, you Harlem Shake them, blah blah blah. And this is the thing about narratives, you just gotta go with it sometimes, you know. It's like, yeah man, you know, knocked them out, danced on them, and finished them all, you know. But that's the story on how I got one of the dopest highlights of my career.